Abilify helps control symptoms of bipolar mania.
Ask your doctor about Effects or XR.
Paxil, the most prescribed medication of its kind.
Prozac Weekly is here. Zoloft, a prescription.
Seraphim.
PMDD.
And
Psychiatri a výrobcovia liekov nevtierajú psychiatrické lieky iba iným doktorom. Oslovujú s nimi priamo konečného užívateľa. Vás. Rátajúc s tým, že vojdete do ich ordinácií a budete si žiadať recept.
The direct-to-consumer advertising is instilling the notion in every human being that something is mentally wrong, something needs correction. That drives people to see a psychiatrist to help to mitigate this by dispensing the medication, by dispensing a drug that they have had pushed on them on countless television ads, countless magazine ads, and countless print ads that say, hey, there's something wrong with you, go get help for it.
Nikde nie je explózia tejto reklamy priamo k spotrebiteľovi očividnejšia než v televízii. Nebolo tomu tak vždy. Až donedávna bola reklama na psychiatrické lieky v televízii prísne obmedzená. Ale v roku 1997 presvedčili FDA, aby zvolnila svoje pravidlá o reklame v médiách, čo bolo v priamom rozpore s článkom 10 medzinárodnej zmluvy podpísanej Spojenými národmi.
Every 5 minutes there's a new drug ad. And this is not by accident. This is cold, canny, scientific design.
Ads are fundamentally of two types. One type of ad is a effort to try to get the patient to take the drug company's drug.
Abilify helps control symptoms of bipolar mania and reduce.
But then the second kind of direct-to-consumer advertising is the you're sick and you didn't know it advertising.
You could be suffering from generalized anxiety disorder.
Because they want to create sales, so what they're going to do is tell people, do you have these symptoms? Do you have this disease? Do you have this particular condition?
But they hit it so hard on television that people say, ask your doctor, ask your doctor. Every commercial is a referral to the doctor. See, they're working for each other.
Ask your doctor about Cymbalta. Depression hurts. Cymbalta can help.
I can go to my doctor and say, here are my symptoms, and walk out with the prescription I want. I can ask for a drug by name, and most of the time I'll be given the drug. So basically I'm my own doctor.
The industry defends what it's doing by saying this is some kind of public health education campaign. And I'm sorry, I think if you go to an advertising agency, you're advertising.
Od začiatku bola reklama psychiatrických liekov v televízii fenomenálne úspešná. Už za prvé 3 roky vyletel predaj psychiatrických liekov o 250%. S hrubými príjmami lámajúcimi rekordy farmaceutický priemysel vynakladá ročne $2,9 miliardy len na reklamu v televízii. A zatiaľ čo táto ženie ľudí do ordinácií psychiatrov, v nich sú chytaní na ďalší marketingový trik. Vzorky zdarma.
The industry is willing to give out millions of dollars worth of free samples because it generates billions of dollars in sales.
You want a prescription and you want Prozac written forever as a maintenance therapy. So you establish that with some free Prozac up front.
Here, take this sample, it doesn't cost you anything, and then if you like it or if it seems to work, then we'll make a prescription, but you're gonna have to pay for that prescription, the sample is free. So it's really a marketing technique.
They got a cash cow. Zero refill means you've got to go back to the doctor for another consultation, for another subscription, and it just goes forever. This is business. This is money.
Niektorý marketing priamo k spotrebiteľovi je zamaskovaný ako informovanie verejnosti. Psychiatri sa pravidelne objavujú v médiách a varujú verejnosť o najnovších epidémiách duševných chorôb a podsúvajú svoje najnovšie prevratné objavy. Píšu články uverejňované v novinách a časopisoch, ktoré podporujú ich kampane povedomia o duševnom zdraví. Dokonca aj skupiny obhajujúce záujmy pacientov tvrdiace, že ponúkajú nezaujaté informácie o psychiatrických liekoch, sú dotované farmaceutickými frontovými skupinami riadenými psychiatrami.
They were started specifically by the industry themselves, and the public isn't informed of that. And it's basically a great big lie to the public that they think they're going to a charitable organization that has their best interest at heart.
Živý príklad. Deti a dospelí s poruchou pozornosti. CCHR. Najväčšia a najdotovanejšia frontová skupina pre výrobcov stimulantov. Steven Plog je bývalý riaditeľ CCHR.
When I became the CHAD coordinator for Las Vegas, they gave me a manual, and in it said, we want to provide unbiased information to help and support people who have ADD. For the next 30 days, we put 22 parents and their kids on a program with lab tests to find out what their causes were, eliminated their causes, they got prescription-free, medication-free, side-effect-free, and they got better with their self-esteem, and they became actually happier, healthier, and more successful. Chad found out about this, called me up and says, we do not allow people to talk about nutrition in any of our seminars. We only prescribe going to a psychiatrist who will only prescribe drugs and therapy. So they said you can no longer work with us, and they fired me for simply recommending that parents go get a lab test, find out what the causes are, and eliminate the causes. They do not allow that. They only allow medication and psychiatric treatment.
Psychiatrické skupiny obhajujúce záujmy pacientov propagujú liečbu psychotropnými liekmi i rozsiahlými verejnými marketingovými anketami vydávanými za zdravotné dotazníky.
You can take a survey of maybe 16 questions. And if you are a normal human being who's lived through ranges of emotions of normal life experience, if you've known the exhilaration of the birth of a child, a niece, a nephew, and the devastation of a divorce and the loss of dreams, and answer honestly to those questions, you will diagnose yourself as bipolar. And the instructions that come back along with the diagnosis or the warning that you're probably bipolar say, print this out and take it to your doctor.
A ako ľahko sa dá ísť na internet, odpovedať na typické otázky zo života a byť označený psychiatrickou poruchou? Tu sú náhodne vybraní dobrovoľníci. Ľudia všetkých vekových skupín, ktorí vedú normálny život.
Do you feel sad, blue, unhappy, or down in the dumps? Sometimes.
I've had periods of great optimism and other periods of equally great pessimism. Yeah, that happens a little bit.
I get tired for no reason. Sometimes.
My life is pretty full. Nah, not really.
For no apparent reason, I sometimes have been very angry or hostile.
It's hard for me to concentrate on reading.
I am restless and can't keep still.
My heart beats faster than usual.
I have trouble sleeping, shortness of breath.
Gained weight.
Trembling hands.
I have an idea that most of these are going to be sometimes.
Everyone has.
As in everybody?
Somewhat.
Somewhat true.
Just a little.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Alright, my score totaled 42. Bipolar disorder, moderate to severe symptoms. Wow.
The answer reflects on the presence of depressive symptoms.
Currently suffering from an anxiety disorder.
I may be suffering from bipolar 1.
Minimal to mild depression.
An obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Guess that means I'm a psycho.
Guess I'll go to a psych. Try to see if I could work it out, get some meds or something.
50% týchto bežných ľudí bolo označených psychiatrickou diagnózou a inštruovaných, aby začali liečbu. V tejto mierke by polovica obyvateľov USA, približne 150 miliónov, mohla byť klasifikovaná ako duševne chorá.
Now you have a direct line of consumers just walking in with a little pre-survey that says that they potentially can have bipolar, ADHD, stress, anxiety, any of those categories, and they just need to take this assessment tool and say, okay, that basically that is what you have and here's your drug.
A psychiatri chcú spraviť takéto testovacie nástroje povinnými. Vezmite si taký teen screen, testovanie mladistvých pod rúškou programu pre prevenciu samovrážd. Sa do škôl dostávajú testy duševného zdravia na diagnózu a predpisovanie liekov deťom. Deťom ako Chelsea Rhodes, ktorá jedného rána odišla do školy ako bežný tínedžer a vrátila sa domov s psychiatrickou diagnózou.
The Rhodes family in Indiana, their young girl went to school one day, and all of a sudden they told her they were taking her into her room, and they move her into her room and give her the 10-minute teen screen test. And shortly after taking the test, she's pulled aside in the hallway and she's told she has two problems, basically two mental problems. One, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and social anxiety disorder.
Her parents were stunned, dumbfounded. They didn't know the teen screen was going to screen their child. They had not been asked permission.
People at school had told her that she was mentally ill with these two conditions based off of a computer test that took her 10 minutes to answer. One of the questions was worded if Chelsea went out a lot. She answered no. We'd ask her why she answered that way. She said, because Mom, you and Dad don't allow us to go out on school nights. I have to be home to do my homework and take care of our household chores. The other question was, do you ever feel nervous or anxious when you're in front of a group of your friends or peers? Chelsea answered yes. She explained to us that because when she has to stand up in front of a group of people and give a book report in one of her classes, she's very nervous. You know, I'm 43 years old and I'm nervous in front of every one of you today, but that doesn't make me mentally ill.
I absolutely believe that the survey for Teen Screen was intentionally structured to flag as many children as possible as having a possible mental health problem.
A kto vytvoril testovanie mladistvých a napísal pre ne anketu? Dr. David Schaffer, psychiatr s rozsiahlymi väzbami na farmaceutický priemysel. Schafferov dotazník je akýkoľvek, len nie vedecký. V štúdii, ktorú sám vykonal, Schaffer pripustil, že 84% všetkých študentov bolo chybne označkovaných so samovražednými sklonmi. Ale čo nepripustil bolo, aké traumatické môžu byť následky. Alia Gleason mala iba 11 rokov, keď sa zúčastnila vyšetrujúceho testu vo svojej škole v Texase.
It was 7th grade, and they had all the girls go into the cafeteria because they said that a lot of girls have depression, so they was working on some depression screen.
Next thing I know, there's those middle schools tell my husband now that CPS is there at the school taking a layer because she's suicidal.
I'm like, suicide? I'm not trying to kill myself. I love myself. I've always loved myself.
So I don't know if she was eating at the school or they already taken her away.
When they took a layer, my girls and I, we didn't sleep for about a good 3 days. For the first 3 days, because my house was empty without her.
And they was making me sign papers talking about if you don't take these medicines, you can't see your parents. So they was telling me, you know, if you take your medicine, you can see your parents.
My daughter was on 22 different types of medication that this one psychiatrist gave her.
They drugged me up so bad that they said they had to drag me. And I used to wonder how I got to my room.
When I saw for myself what they were giving her and how much and how often, I just thought, they're gonna kill this child. And the parents were helpless.
Then after a while, that's when I was just like, I'm not about to take no more medicine until I call my parents. And then that's when they was like, okay, well, we're gonna give it to you anyways. They restrained me and shot me up. I was in 4 points. They laid me out on my stomach with my feet like this and tied me up.
One day, they must have put her in about 12 restraints in one day.
They said I was restrained about 70 or 80 times. After a couple of months, they was like, you know, your parents don't want to see you. They don't want to talk to you or anything. So I was really hurt.
We tried everything. Nobody know. We didn't know what hospital. We didn't even know where they taking her.
After 2 weeks, you're supposed to hear, or you're supposed to be able to see your child. They didn't give me that. I didn't see a layer till 6 months later.
But I was a good child. I didn't deserve for that. And he messed up a lot of things. To this day, I still wish that I could just go back and be like, man, you know what, I'm not even gonna take the test.
I would always tell every parent I see, and they was ask me, don't do the team screening, because it will mess up your family.
Podobné psychiatrické vyšetrujúce programy vznikajú s veľkou rýchlosťou. Testovanie mladistvých samotné v súčasnosti vyšetruje 100 000 detí vo vyše 500 školách v 43 štátoch USA.
Has nothing to do with helping kids, has nothing to do with mental health, has nothing to do with medicine. It has everything to do with the pushing of drugs.
So it presents itself as being a wonderful, altruistic program, whereas in fact, I believe its cold-blooded and cold-hearted intent is to recruit more children into the very subjective diagnoses of mental illness and to treat those kids with medication.
Ale psychiatrické dealerstvo liekov nekončí v triede. Boli schválené zákony na vyšetrenie všetkých obyvateľov na duševné choroby, vrátane geriatrických pacientov, vojnových veteránov a tehotných žien. A všetko to má ísť z vášho vrecka.
Psychiatrists benefit from both ends, from the pharmaceutical end for being paid to write the prescription, and then from the patient for being there to receive the prescription.
It's an industry that cannot allow the human condition to go unmedicated, and I think this is where the problem begins.
If everybody considers themselves to be sick in some way or more than one way, and that the only control, the only hope for their happiness is to be on pills for the rest of their lives, that's the goal.
The pharmaceuticals and the psychiatric community are in a cleanup, and that's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with helping our kids or, their mental health. It's all about money.
Dnes farmaceutické spoločnosti vynakladajú vyše 5,3 miliardy dolárov ročne na marketing liekov na predpis. Takmer 9-krát viac než pred 10 rokmi. Výsledok? Celosvetový predaj psychotropných liekov vystúpil na 80 miliárd dolárov. A to všetko sa deje zatiaľ, čo psychiatri vedome ignorujú obrovskú ľudskú tragédiu, ktorú vytvárajú.